the World Cup. Let's turn our attention to Wales. James Hook played 81 tests for the country between 2006 2015. He was selected on the 2009 Lions tour to South Africa too, but he never played on that. 3 World Cups, 07 when they made the semi-finals, 11 and 2015. Played majority of his international career under coach Warren Gatland. He's in fact Wales' 4th highest point scorer. Predominantly a first 5, also used at second 5 and fullback, and is en France, working as part of the Welsh, delegation that is there to commentate the games. It's a very warm welcome to the platform in New Zealand, mate. Nice to have you.
Hi, how are you doing, Martin? You okay?
Look, we're in that kind of fug at the moment, to be honest, with your All Black fans, because we played Namibia, we got a couple of weeks off, we've got Italy, we've got Uruguay. We're still wounded from both South Africa and France, and we don't really know where our team's at. But I'm thinking, while I'm saying that out loud, that you're probably in the same situation or a similar situation at the moment where you've got this massive game coming up against Australia, which is effectively, that's a round of 16 knockout before a quarter-final for you. So you might probably be feeling like I'm feeling.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think in terms of the pool, we haven't played well. We didn't play well against Portugal. We didn't play well in the warm-up games. But I think Warren Gatland's alluded to it. We maximum points. We 10 points from 2 games. So, as you mentioned, this weekend against Australia is a massive game. It's do or die for us, So we win this game, we're pretty much in the quarterfinals. But Australia obviously losing last week to Fiji. Their World Cup depends on this weekend. So it's going to be a great weekend, I think.
James, how easy or not is it? I mean, you've played 3 World Cups and you've been through your ups and downs. How easy is it for the team to just park everything that has happened, isolate this game and work towards this game, knowing that if you achieve what you want to achieve, well, then none of that really does matter what's happened in the last year or so?
Yeah, I think so. I think with this Welsh team, we've lost a lot of experienced players before the World Cup. But if you look around, our strongest 15, there's still a lot of experience in that team. We got quite a few youngsters, but, you look at the sort of the spine of the team, you Toby Faletau, Dan Bigger, Halfpenny's in the squad. You've got people like Liam Williams, so the spine of the team is a lot of experience. And as you mentioned, the last year hasn't gone well, but there's experienced boys who've, won big Lions tours, they've won Grand Slams, so they know how to win big games. And this Australia team, they're struggling at the moment as well. So, I think this Wales team will be quietly confident of going in there to get a victory, I think.
I'm just thinking back to 2011, where you were part of that team that made the semi-finals and lost to France after getting, unfortunately, the red card for Sam in that semi-final. James, these tournaments are different. Explain to us fans why they are different and how they are different, and that you can just win one major game and before you know it, momentum carries you and you're in a position where you're at the business end of the tournament.
Yeah, you mentioned it there, Martin. Momentum is a massive, massive thing. In the Six Nations, momentum. You win that first game, and you win the second game. All of a sudden, that confidence comes from nowhere. And it's exactly the same in World Cups. And as I just said, the build up to this World Cup, the Six Nations for Wales was poor. Before that, the autumn internationals were poor, and we got 50 points put on us in the last game, warm up game for the World Cup, and then all of a sudden, the Fiji game for Wales was a huge, huge game. A lot of people were saying Fiji were the favourites going into that game. So for Wales to win that, the momentum it brings, and it wasn't a great game against Portugal, but again we got the bonus point in the 83rd minute from a Toby Faletau try, and as you say, the momentum just builds and that confidence builds, and all of a sudden we're going into a do or die match against Australia to see whether we'll qualify or not.
James Hook played 81 tests, all for Wales between 2006 and 2015 and 3 World Cups, and also selected for that 09 Lions tour to South Africa. It's a hell of a pedigree, mate. Warren Gatland. Now, this guy is a big fan favourite here in New Zealand. He's had enormous success, but then he comes back, he takes over Wales and goes through the worst period ever. Does that make him a bad coach? And also on that, what makes him a good coach under your eyes?
Yeah, I think, I was there when Warren first came in back in the end of 2007 or 2008 for the Six Nations, when we obviously exited the World Cup in 2007. And then, we didn't really know where we were going as a team. And I think Warren came in and he just basically simplified things. Our game plan was made simple. Everyone was on the same page. The forwards knew what they had to do. They knew their job, and the backs the same. And I think, again, we just built that confidence. And he builds a psychological confidence into the squad as well. He makes players believe they're a lot better than what they probably are, and it just gives you that confidence to go out in the field and perform. And that's why I know the most recent period, the last year or two hasn't been great for Gatland, but he is the most successful Welsh coach we've had in history, and that goes a long way. And I think the younger players in the group now, they feed off that confidence from the success in the past as well.
So I want to ask you about, you've seen a couple of other teams in the tournament. Obviously, your thoughts on us as well. James Hook is with us on the platform. Fiji beating Australia, though, that game. What was the key to that game, did you think?
Do you know what? I think everyone's familiar with seeing Fiji, their individuals and the brilliance as individuals. But I think what I was really impressed was just their control. I was watching that game and they never really looked too stressed. I think that the kicking game was fantastic and the scrum was solid. And I think it's probably all the things you don't really associate with Fiji, as well as their individual brilliance. So, the team is going to take some beating. I know Wales beat them in the first game, but, if it wasn't for that Radradra knock on at the end, Fiji could be sitting in a different position at the moment. But they're so exciting to watch. And like I say, it's the first time I've actually watched a Fiji team where I thought they're in complete control and they don't look like losing.
Look, down this part of the world, all of us are hoping that, a PI team, a Pacific Islands team, makes it to the quarterfinals. And then we saw in the Football World Cup last year with Morocco making the semi-finals. Good Lord, maybe one time they might make a semi-final, which would be terrific. Obviously, you're on the other side because it could be at your could be at your expense, and I understand that.
Yeah, of course. But I think we were watching that game yesterday. Obviously, as a Welsh fan, you sort of wanted Australia to win because obviously it makes Wales' route to the quarterfinal a lot easier. But I think I was out in Bordeaux for the Wales-Fiji game, and you can just sense the fans are just all behind Fiji. All the neutrals are behind Fiji, and it's because of the rugby they play. The brand of rugby is fantastic to watch, and I think they play the way rugby should be played, in my opinion.
Yeah, you bring a good crew yourselves, though, both when you play round ball football and when you play your code as well, mate. The Welsh fans give it some.
Oh yeah, we love it. We love it, and like I say, I was in Bordeaux for that Wales-Fiji game, and the Irish fans overlapped with the Welsh fans in Bordeaux that weekend, and yeah, they know to party and enjoy a weekend and enjoy the rugby, enjoy the football, whatever it is, we'll enjoy it, mate.
James Hook is with us on the platform. All right, cast your eye around at the other side of the draw where the world's best four rugby teams, South Africa, Ireland, the All Blacks and France, are on that side of the draw. Well, I mean, that may not be the case when it comes through to the semis and the final, of course, but who has impressed you so far in the tournament and why?
I think France, in the opening game against New Zealand, I thought they were impressive. I think, New Zealand started the first half and the second half really well, but I think they probably dropped off a little bit in the last 20. It was something you probably don't associate with New Zealand teams coming into the last 20 minutes of games. But I think France were brilliant. Obviously, they stuttered a bit in the second game, and obviously a lot of changes. So it probably showed that their strength and depth probably isn't as strong as we probably feel it may be. And I think Ireland, they're starting to tick. I think I always love watching Ireland, the way they just sort of a complete team. They backs and forwards combine really well together, and I think they're building nicely, and they probably got the two tougher games at the end of the pool. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare up there, actually.
Yeah, you're right, because their draw, the way that they have worked it, they get that easy game Romania to start with, and then they played Tonga, and of course that's a good physical hit out, and now they play South Africa, and I mean this could be actually the final if that it all pans out. That South African side look absolutely fearsome. What are your thoughts on the innovation that they've brought, which is essentially bringing on a whole forward pack off a bench?
Yeah, well, you've got to credit them, haven't you? They play into their strengths, and we all know South Africa got a huge power game, and they just I think everyone knows that South Africa got a powerful game, but you forget to mention then the quality they got in the back line to complement what's going on up front, and to bring on a reserve pack of forwards which is just as strong as the starting pack it's an incredible weapon to have, isn't it? And I said at the start of the tournament, South Africa is still my pick for the World Cup, and it's hard to look beyond that. I know the likes of Ireland and New Zealand and France, and those guys will have a lot to say about it, but it's hard to look beyond the power they've got, isn't it?
James, I've got a couple more questions for you, if that's okay. You've been very generous with your time.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
So the way that it has been refereed at the moment with the yellow cards and the red cards, we've all thought that, or we've hoped that the referees would clamp down early and send a signal, and then hopefully just lighten up a bit by the time the knockout stages happen. Because as I said to you earlier on, you've been in a semi-final where a red card destroys your team's chances. How are you viewing what the rulings have been so far?
Yeah, I like the bunker system, where, if the referee feels, an incident reaches the yellow card threshold, I like that. It sort of speeds the game up. It sort of stops all the messing about and waiting to see whether it's a red card or not, So I like that idea, but I think, some of the red cards, I suppose, have been a little bit debatable. I think, you look at for me, anyway, the Portugal game against Wales where Pinto gets sent off for the high ball catch, and I've spoke to a lot of people who play in the back three since that red card, and obviously I played in the back three myself, and it was a difficult situation for him when he took that ball. He sort of off balance a little bit, and he could be seen to have been a little bit dangerous, but Josh Adams could have held his feet a little bit, and there needs to be a little bit more empathy in the game, I think, from my point of view.
So just explain that further. Would you like to see, is that in terms of the way that the referees allow it to flow as well as those kind of decisions?
Yeah, well, I think, it's a fine line, isn't it? Because, you could look at many incidents in the game and, some go unnoticed. And then when you slow things down, things look a lot worse. I think there's Taufi Fanua, the second row for France. He got a yellow card the other day, didn't he? And, that could have quite easily been a red card, for the arm to the head, So I think it's just the consistency that the fans need. I think more than anything, I think some incidents, people are getting confused with different things. That's the thing I would say.
As a spectacle, as a game, is it any better today, or do you think it used to be better than it is today?
That's a difficult one. I think personally, I'm loving this World Cup. I'm really entertained by obviously some of the teams you just mentioned, in particular Fiji, what they bring to the game, and I think it's a fine line, isn't it? The referees and World Rugby have got a job to do to make the game safer as well, and rightly so, because we want to make the game as safe as possible and continue to do so. So, it's a balance of getting that right and making it entertaining, and like I say, that sort of bunker call where they get sent to the bunker and you can let the game carry on is one step in the right direction, I think. But I think they're constantly trying to make the game safer and make it more entertaining at the same time,
James Hook, thank you so much for your time. I'll leave you with this then. I want the quarterfinal predictions. First and foremost, who makes it out of your group on your side of the draw? Give me the 4 quarterfinalists.
I think from our side, I think Wales and Fiji. And I think I'm going to go England, and I'm going to go Samoa.
Oh, okay. Because they got that game against Argentina this weekend. Yeah, that's virtually a round of 16.
Yeah, Argentina, they weren't that impressive, were they, against England first up?
Okay, and the other side of the draw, I mean, it's probably cut and dried. It's going to be South Africa playing either France or New Zealand, and New Zealand playing either South Africa or Ireland, right?
Yeah, I think so. You can't see beyond that, I think you're spot on there, Martin.
Who's winning it all? You said South Africa. You still believe it?
I still believe South Africa. I do. But part of me, if Wales don't win it, it'd be great to see the home nation France as well at the same time,